Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is the Sunless Citadel, episode 12, the Twilight Grove, which also happens to be our season 1 finale. Who would have thought when we started this back in, I think July or August, that this would be 12 episodes, let alone a season 1. We kind of build it all along as a mini campaign, which it says down at the bottom of the overlay even. It's been built as a mini campaign because we thought, we'll play it for 5 or 6 episodes and see what happens. And I went back and was checking some things on previous episodes. And in the first episode, at the very end, we were all just marveling at how well this group, both in terms of DM and players, but also the party dynamic, everything just clicked. And that unique additional aspect that we clicked with you, the viewing audience, in a way that was unexpected. And that's really what makes the Sunless Citadel and what it's ultimately becoming as season 2 launching in January. And we'll show a teaser trailer again at the end of the episode, at the end of the session tonight, for season 2 starting in January. It's I forgot what I was saying. It's just become this amazing game that we can have fun, but we can have some serious RP, some fun moments and interactions with the audience, and things like that. And it's just awesome. It's one of the many reasons why I absolutely love this hobby. So, as I said, this is episode 12, our finale. Everything's been leading up to the things that are going to happen tonight. So I am going to, real quick, I'm going to cover a couple housekeeping things. We're going to do some intros from each of the players. I will do a recap of the campaign, and then we will pick up where we left off with last week's cliffhanger. So first off, I want to draw your attention to below me. You see this domain dice interface down here. Now, they don't really need any more. They have 26 domain dice at their disposal. I don't think they need any more, but domain dice, it's a way that you as viewers can impact the campaign. And what that does is for 500 bits or $5 donation through the donation interface below the video on Twitch, you can purchase domain dice for the players that allow them to re-roll a D20 that they don't like and take the new result. Or, and they really like this part, they can force me, the DM, to re-roll a D20 and take the new result. It doesn't always work out in anybody's favor, but it's still that little bit of extra influence in the game. Other things that I do slightly different, we will address as they come up in game things, but quick reminders are critical hits are automatic max damage, then roll your damage dice one more time. Drinking a potion is a bonus action. Anybody can read a spell scroll if they are a caster. If they are not a caster, then they have to make an intelligence check. Everything else we'll deal with as it comes up in game. I think that's pretty much it in terms of housekeeping stuff. So we're going to go around just real quick. Tell us who you are, where we can find you, and tell us who you have been playing for this campaign. Who is your party member? And we're going to start with V.
I was not expecting it to be me. Hi, everyone. I'm V. I have the YouTube channel, The Crafting Muse, where I show you how to craft terrain, paint minis, make game accessories, and other fabulous things like that. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Tonight, I am playing Cantriel, the Legend Bard, and she is a fun, sarcastic, impatient elf. But I'm having a lot of time playing it, so I'm very eager to see what's going to happen tonight, to put it mildly.
Next up is Jeremy.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jeremy. I have the YouTube channel, The Erasmus Expeditions, where I run lots of live plays. I have videos where I talk about RPGs, a couple of crafting videos, things of that nature. Yeah, I am also 1/3 of the Dudes of Yore podcast with my friends Jeff Doty and Chad Nick, and it's also on YouTube. So tonight I am stepping back into the shoes of Vi, the human druid. No, I'm just kidding. I am playing Talmud, the rather unlucky but stalwart barbarian who I think he might just live to see the end of this, and I'm very, very excited.
Hold on, I'm writing a note first to
That was
die.
Vi.
Speaking of Vi, Megan.
Hi everyone, I'm Megan. I am one half of the YouTube channel Dice on Ice, and tonight I am playing Vi, the human druid, and I am super excited to see what happens and who dies.
And speaking of deaths, we recently had an almost insta-kill from Scotty. Or rather, from his character, not Scotty.
I was going to say, I almost died. I didn't know that.
You don't know how close you were.
I don't remember it. I don't recall it. Yeah, I am DM Scotty, and I have a channel called theDMsCraft. And I like to craft stuff for the game table, just like V. And actually, V and I are in a group called the Tabletop Crafters Guild, which we have on Facebook. So come join us. We got lots and lots of people, showing great crafts and talking about games and that kind of thing. Also, I have a new venture with Griveth from DMG Info. It's Quest Givers, and we've got our second module out. We got a mini module out called the Arcane Vault. So we're going to have a module every month. We are cranking these out. I got some really cool videos talking about how to run games and that kind of thing. So check out Quest Givers on YouTube. And yeah, I am Griveth, the human paladin. I am going to try to live. I'm going to get by with little help from my friends.
Oh, let's hope so.
So let's hit it.
All right. And I am the Dungeon Master, known as MTD Jake or Mini Terrain Domain or just Jake. And I'm going to present the scenes, scenarios, and enemies before them. I'm not outright trying to kill them. It's just my characters, my NPCs that are doing that. So, this adventure started in the town of Oakhurst, where some folks in the party had been there or nearby for 15 years. The human druid Vi had kind of lived as a recluse on the outskirts of town. Griveth, the paladin, had stayed at the temple with the gnome priestess by the name of Dem Corky Knackle. In the service of the temple was a temple to Palor, but Griveth serves Eldath, and had been doing so for nearly a year. Cantriel had been in town for a few months, staying, basically earning her keep at the local tavern, the Old Boar Inn, where Garen, the barkeep, was perhaps a little bit smitten with her, and letting her stay in exchange for song and entertainment. And then the newcomer to town was Talmud, who had only been in town about a month, and was working to put his stoneworking skills to work, cleaning up some of the ruins on the outskirts of town. when midsummer approached, and for all but Vi, this was a new thing for them to witness for the last 12 years, as a goblin emissary showed up to town with a bright, brilliant red magical apple for sale. This apple had the ability to cure anybody who ate of it of diseases, to heal them of grievous wounds. That was just part of the mystery that was presented before them, trying to figure out where these goblins get these apples from, and why, whenever they plant the seeds, do the trees grow to saplings and then disappear. They suspected the goblins of stealing them. But also, the owner and operator of the local general store, a female noble by the name of Carolyn Hucreely, who some say is the actual person who runs the town and not Mayor Werner Ling. Two of her children, her son and her daughter, Talgin and Sharwin Hucreely, had joined a band of adventurers and had gone missing when they had delved into some ruins outside of town, about a half a day's journey, which also happened to be in the same direction that the goblins were going. So this group formed together on the dual purpose of solving the mystery of the magical fruit and seeking out the missing children of Carolyn Hucreely. They headed to the site of the legendary Sunless Citadel, a jagged scar in the ground where once upon a time there was a citadel that some cataclysmic event had caused it to sink below the surface into this chasm. They descended, immediately began facing minor threats from giant rats, things so ominous such as stairs and doors, which proved to be particularly challenging to Talmud the dwarf. Early on, they encountered some kobolds who, very quickly, they encountered a young, timid kobold by the name of Meepo, who they took a liking to. The kobolds beseeched them to find their stolen white dragon wormling taken by the goblins that also reside in the temple ruins. And they sent Meepo along to accompany the party, and boy did he. As much as he could, helping out in fight after fight. They faced many traps and perils, and eventually they came to a place where they did indeed find the white dragon wormling. And in an encounter with this wormling, which they did ultimately, Talmud severed its, let's just say he ripped its jaws wide, ripped its head apart, but not before it got vengeance on its cruel captor, Meepo, with a single icy breath, freezing Meepo into a kobold sickle. Afterwards, the party found themselves facing the goblins in an area where they had resided. And it looks like Chameleon Fam. Am I reading that right? Is that 2,000 bits? It is indeed. Thank you, Chameleon Fam. Joey Pura 1974 for dropping 4 more domain dice. Can I even do this kind of math? 2, 3, 4. You guys are just about maxed out on what I can account for. I'll have to start tracking them on paper. Thank you so much for that. As they dealt with the goblins, particularly the goblin matron, Grenell, she told them of, in the nearby room, the bugbears, or rather the hobgoblins, that had taken over their tribe and had been working with the human, an evil human man that had come through years before, and holding the Gothias tree down in the Twilight Grove hostage. The goblins wanted it back, and they asked the party to help them. The the adventurers then, after taking some rest, went in and they smote the hobgoblins, but good. They descended down into the lower levels, faced off against a bugbear and his 2 rats that were enlarged with magical potions, which also caused Vi to relive some, be triggered from her horrific past. And they stumbled across, after defeating the bugbear, Bernal, they stumbled across Belak's laboratory, where he had been doing experiments with various Underdark vegetation and living creatures. They talked to another goblin who they had basically described their agreement with Grinnell. He led the goblin commoners out of the way and told them where they could go. They immediately went the wrong way, faced off and survived a fire snake in chambers of hot brimstone, and then continued on the correct way, heading through various underground garden areas, where they immediately ran into an angry female bugbear who hadn't noticed them until Griveth so kindly and quietly said, "I am here to defeat you!" And then they also discovered that there was another fire snake and a minotaur skeleton that wanted to join in the fun. So they dispatched those enemies, continued on their way, discovered so many more doors, just door after door after door. But they did find a dragon shrine that they chose not to interact with, a ruined library where they uncovered some scrolls, and Cantriel managed to find herself a book of lore that appears to be worth something, because knowledge is priceless. And then continuing along the way, they found a final last set of locked doors, and then Vi, using her druidic ability to shapeshift, went in under the door, explored the room, went through the next door, saw what was waiting. They burst in and found many twig blights forming an honor guard that led them into the Twilight Grove. And we're going to overlap with the end of the last session as we begin this session, as they are led into this area where there is a walled clearing in among a cavern nearly 40 feet tall that has the floor of this cavern. There are ruined walls 20 feet high all around. There are briars and brambles everywhere. Purple lichen clinging to the ceiling that is providing bioluminescence in this room. Several variety of plants growing around the perimeter of the clearing, including a few of these suspicious saplings that you've encountered before. But all of that pales in comparison to what you see in the center of this courtyard. Beneath this light, this violet light of this bioluminescent fungus, grows an evil tree. Its blackened, twisted limbs are reaching upward like a skeletal hand trying to claw its way up out of the earth. Before it stands a few more twig blights and 3 figures. A large, heavily armored human man with a shield and a sword. A blonde young woman in a robe fit for a noble. And a middle-aged to... He actually kind of looks like he's in his maybe late 50s, possibly early 60s. A bearded man wearing a hooded brown robe, holding a staff and a sickle. Both of the humans that stand on either side of him have black eyes, and their skin is gray with the texture of bark. The human man stands there with his hood up, and as you enter the clearing, he draws back his hood and says, "Welcome to the Twilight Grove. I am Belloc, called the Outcast." And as he speaks, Vi, you see something in his eyes and hear something in his voice. Familiarity. This man bears a striking resemblance to someone you have not seen for probably at least 20 to 30 years. You certainly haven't heard this voice, but it looks and sounds like your eldest brother, Caleb. As he speaks, and this recognition dawns, Vi, what are you thinking, or what are you doing?
Immediately, Vi is no longer there. She smells this scent of nature, of hay. She is but a child as she reaches out for her older brother's hand as they race through the cornfield. He is eager, he is desperately wanting her to come see. They get to this tree on top of a hill just outside of their property. He kneels down beside a box. And as Vi gets closer, she can hear the sound of mewing. And as she looks into the box, she sees one very, very small kitten. His eyes are still closed. Caleb looks to her in earnest. He is young. He is no older than 10. And he looks to her. He looks to her to help him. But she shakes her head matter-of-factly. The runts, they don't make it, especially not without their mothers. And so she turns away despite the cries from her older brother. And he sat there, trying to save it, trying to nurse it back to health in the rain, in the night, when there were howls surrounding him, though his siblings tried to tear him away from this kitten. They could not. But finally, as nature does, the kitten did not make it because it could not survive without its mother. But still, Vi remembers Caleb stayed by the box until she had to pull him, till her mother came. Mother and father had to pull him away, telling him that this is no way the eldest should act, that the eldest should show some restraint, that the eldest needed to be an example for the rest of his siblings. And Vi sees that so vividly. The look in his eyes. And she, now back in the present, utters, Caleb? Is that you?
He gives no sign that he's heard you. He gives no sign of recognition. He gestures grandly to all of you. And then he looks back longingly at the tree. And he says, in a voice full of pride, surveying the tree, looking between it and the four of you, as he says, "It's beautiful, is it not, the Gothias tree? It lives, though it looks dead. The legends tell that some ages ago, a vampire was staked to the ground on this very spot, and that stake took root and grew into the Gothias tree, reverberating with primal power for those who can tap it, making servants of those who cannot." And he looks back at the four of you. "So tell me, who are you? Why have you come to my grove? Do you come thinking that you can tap into the primal nature of this tree and claim its power for yourself? Or have you come to give yourselves in servitude to be my new servants as I take full possession of the powers of this tree?"
Yeah, I think we're going to go have with a third option. Once you've seen one vegetable, you've seen them all. Honestly, it's, I'm sure, a very impressive tree for your people, but frankly, I just don't care that much about it. So instead, we are going to do our very, very best to do what we do best. And he's going to kind of heft Goethe and kind of spin it.
Hold, Fred, hold.
Yeah, immediately Vi would just...
Whoa. I say this in Dwarvish to you.
Well, it appears as though your companions do not share your same disposition, my dwarven friend.
There's always got to be a leader.
So did these two offer themselves up to the tree?
He glances at the armored male and the robed female. They have chosen a life of servitude by default.
They weren't coerced into it.
Well, let's just say they came down here with other plans and proved unworthy the power of the Gothias tree. Now they serve me and the tree. But they can be replaced in favor of you. The four of you look much more capable. He takes a step closer. Just look at you. Massive. Armored. A few dents and scratches in your armor. It was no easy feat getting here, was it? And yet, here you stand. And you, of the elven blood, you are the strong silent type, I see.
Oh, I only stay silent when I don't have anything to say to someone in no importance in my view.
Ah. He looks over his shoulder at the robed female. I think this one's got much more spirit than you do, my dear.
You have no idea.
And what of you? I see something feral and untamed in your eyes. I see you have an earthy, loamy, natural scent. You serve nature. And he speaks to you. The rest of you hear a mixture of bird song. You hear almost like the sound of a babbling brook. You hear the wind through the trees. You hear the distant call of some wild animal deep in the forest. But Vi, in amongst all these natural sounds, you hear words woven like roots weaving through the soil beneath your feet. You hear, of everyone who stands here before me today, you have the most potential. You could serve with me, not for me. We, combined, can take full possession of this tree and all the power it wields before us. As he speaks Druidic to you.
Vi would, in turn, go towards Belloc and in Druidic, brother, Caleb, do you not recognize me? It is Vi.
He gives
You're
a
younger.
sharp intake of breath as soon as you say the name Caleb. How is it that you know this name? And this time he's speaking in common again. So caught off guard is he.
Vi is slowly approaching him with her hand outstretched. You are my older brother, Caleb. Please. It is I.
Make a persuasion check.
18.
No. This cannot be. My family is all dead. I know that my family is dead. You
No.
cannot be my sister?
Do you remember the kitten? The kitten that you cared for so much? Do you remember us running through the corn? Do you remember us playing tricks on our younger brother? Matthew, please.
His eyes are searching, doing that as you're getting closer to him, and his eyes are rapidly moving back and forth from your eyes, searching, looking at you. And then you see his jaw working. And as you mention the kitten and you start talking about these memories, you see his lip trembles. And you see tears welling up in his eyes. Little Vi,
And she would smile when he says that, ever so slightly.
You live. This, how is it that you've come to be here in this place now, today, after so much time has passed?
I was so ashamed to find you, brother. After what I had done to our family, I see that you have the same curse as I do.
What you had done to our family? What do you mean?
I did not know my powers at the time. I don't know what happened. I remember Matthew, he was ripping up one of my dolls, and I caught him, and I just remember I got so angry. I got so very angry, and everything went black. And when I woke up, they were dead, and there were those who stood outside. Tell me they haven't come to you yet.
Sweet sister. He takes a step forward. And the hand holding the sickle, he slides it into a loop on his belt. And he reaches out his hand to you. And with rough hands that have worked the earth, that have dug in the soil, even now his hands smell heavily of loam and wet earth, dirt caked under his nails and in the cracks on his fingers. And he reaches up and he places his hand on your cheek. And he slides and just kind of holds your chin a little bit. Dear sweet sister. All these years you have been living with this guilt. But Vi, my sweet sister, you didn't kill our family. I did. I killed them all.
Vi's, she was smiling at this, but her face goes ghostly pale. What? What do you mean? No, the blood around my mouth, my hands. No.
It was a baptism, Vi. We saw to it that you were baptized in blood. But I knew that you could never do that which needed to be done. And so I did it. I was there that night. I was looking in on you. I saw you standing there, baptized in the blood of our family. Did you know that it was I who poured our mother and father's blood over your head? I was the one who baptized you into your true druidic nature. But the others, they took me away before I could bring you in. And he kind of turns away, his hand drops away from your face. I was It was that night that I became Belloc, the outcast. The others and I, well, they didn't agree with my ways. You see, they don't believe in the baptism of blood, the blending of our human natures and the nature of the world around us. But
Vile abomination! Dawnbringers attack!
All right. Well, once again, Griveth has declared that he cannot stand for this anymore. And as Griveth shouts, I'm going to say that Belloc is absolutely caught off guard by this. Vi, roll me a wisdom check. Or you can decide to fail it if you wish, to determine if you are caught off guard or you would act.
I think Vi's caught off guard. She's just caught off guard by the whole thing.
So we're going to go ahead and roll for initiative. As Griveth has had enough of this nonsense. So everybody roll those dice. I got to roll a couple numbers here. So let's see. And dexterity. All right, Griveth, what'd you get?
I got a 10, sorry.
And Cantriel.
20.
And Vi.
I also got a 10.
Talmud.
A 16.
And one. Check something real quick. All right. This round will be Griveth, Cantriel, or sorry, let me get the order right. So Cantriel is first. Let's see, Talmud, go out of your party. We'll go next. Followed by... And then it would be both Vi and Griveth. Okay. So this round, it's going to go Cantriel, Talmud, and Griveth for the surprise round. So Vi, as Griveth yells out a battle cry, what are you going to do?
I think Vi would just be...
sorry, not Vi.
Yeah. I was just
sorry,
like,
Cantriel.
Okay.
My bad.
It's
that whole Vi thing. It's still throwing me off.
I'm assuming Griveth is close by. Yes. All right.
You guys are all pretty close.
All right. So I'm going to put my hand on his shoulder and say, if there's ever a time you're going to do some good, do it now. And he has Bardic Inspiration. Valor College, don't forget that one. And then I'm going to look at Belek and just get this sardonic grin on my face and, poor wee man, you think you're so big, but you must be making up for something very, very small. And vicious mockery against him.
Nice. As you insult his manhood.
Yeah, why not?
Let's see. That is. Oh.
He has to take a wisdom saving throw.
Yep. Just gotta check what his is. That is going to be an 18 on the die.
Not if you reroll.
So that's a 24. But spending the invisible domain die gifted by our friend Jason, EverJ, I ran out of digital dice to track that. So I will re-roll that. The new die roll is a 13, which is a 19 total.
Yeah, he makes it.
You just see his own smile creep up. So it is, if that is the end of your turn, it is Talmud.
So Talmud has had Gerta ready. And as soon as Griveth starts screaming at the top of his lungs, the tattoos on Talmud start to glow once more. And again, these dwarven protectors begin to kind of swirl about his own frame. And he charges forward, but in a very, very different way. This time it's with more measure than he usually exudes. And he very specifically moves to place himself between Vi and Belloc.
You would have to physically knock one of them out of the way. They were so close.
Okay. He's going to do so. He is going to attempt to shove Belloc back.
All right, make a strength check.
Okay. Is it athletics? Is that possible?
Yeah. Athletics.
Okay, perfect. Then that is a 24.
As you do this, actually, no, I'm not going to let him take a reaction because of the surprise round. So you are, what'd you get?
A 24.
Completely caught off guard. Belloc is pushed backwards 5 feet, and you interpose yourself between the two of them.
And as he does so, with kind of pushing the haft of Gerta kind of into the chest of Belloc to cause him to kind of stumble back, he looks back at Vi kind of over his shoulder, and a feminine kind of spirit seems to kind of pull away from Talmud for a moment and says, "Get behind me, dearie. Everything will be just fine."
And now Griveth.
All right. Let's bring the pain. Okay. So, how close am I to Vi?
You guys were all pretty close. So she's I'd say she's within about 5 feet or so of you.
Okay. So I, without stopping what I'm going to do, I kind of lunge to the side, and I see her kind of in shock. Like she's kind of stunned and shock. Like, oh, what's going on? You know, we were all kind of back there, like, you know, nodding to each other and like realizing that this guy is going to have to go down, and Vi and Belloc are all in this conversation, this intense conversation. And, so she had no idea, what's going to happen. So when we brought the hammer down, so she's totally stunned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move forward a little bit, and I'm going to kind of bump into her, not enough to hurt her, but to kind of shock her out of her stunned state. And I'm going to say, just real quickly, just shoot her a glance and say, "Girl, we need you," and just kind of bump into her. And then, keeping my fighting stance going, I kind of drop my Morning Star. I have that leather handle conveniently on my wrist, so I don't lose my weapon.
Right.
So I kind of drop my Morning Star, whip out. Well, actually, no. While all this was going on, I took the scroll, the Scorching Ray scroll, and I slapped it on the back of my shield. So I've got it there ready to read, right? So no, I'm not dropping my base. My Morning Star. I'm holding my Morning Star. Got my shield there, and I've got the scroll on there. I'm ready to read it. So I shoot another glance at Cantriel. It's like, I say, "Oh yeah, I can be a spellcaster too, yeah." So I start reading this, blah, 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 on the scroll, right? And so I'm gonna, shoot.
That's how Griveth reads a spell scroll.
So I'm gonna do Scorching Ray. Okay.
That has to be what celestial sounds like.
I'm talking in tongues. So I am gonna shoot at. I can hit 3 targets. I'm gonna hit those 2 wood dudes, and I'm gonna go for Benel also. So I need to roll to hit.
Belloc.
Belloc, I'm sorry, geez. Okay, Belloc. So I need to roll to hit, so let me do that. Belloc, oops. So what bonus would I use for the Scorching Ray to hit?
It's going to go off of your intelligence modifier.
Oh, that's not good, okay.
I forgot to cover that in the reading of spells that you're using your intelligence modifier to cast the spell. You can
smart.
Yeah,
right.
Because you're a spellcaster, you can still add your proficiency bonus.
Oh, okay, cool. That helps. Okay.
So yeah, you got to roll to hit on each of them.
Yeah. So I'm going for Bernal. Is that the 15? Is
Belloc.
that a hit?
You already killed Benal.
Damn it. Belloc.
Bernal. All right, you rolled what to hit Belloc?
15.
Belloc's armor class is... That hits.
Oh, what? Bam!
So you will hit Belloc.
He takes 10 points of damage. Sweet. All right, second ray. Oh, that's a 7. That's probably not a hit.
Which one was that aimed at?
The armored dude.
The armored dude holds his shield up, and the Scorching Ray just ricochets off of it. Just... And then the third one was at...
Yeah, the chick.
Okay. The chick.
Okay, that's an 18.
That will hit her.
Nice. 8 points of damage.
I would like Griveth, because you're focusing on it, and Cantriel to make perception checks.
All right. Griveth. Ooh, 17 for me.
23.
Whoa, what? Nice.
Cantriel, as this Scorching Ray strikes this woman servant of the Gothias tree, the flame illuminates her in a way that the bioluminescent violet light hadn't. And you see a familiarity in her face. Not that you recognize her, but she's the spitting image of Carolyn Hukreely. you get the sense that this could be her missing daughter, Charwyn, that Griveth has just struck with a scorching ray. As we now slip out of surprise and into full-on.
Oh wait, I have one other thing.
Okay.
Somebody in the chat said that when I did my surprise attack, that they liked it, and I should get an inspiration die.
I love it.
Holy shit.
What did you do?
Eldath has said, "Stop hemming and hawing and give Scotty his dang." I'm not kidding. I just had a chain reaction of like 3 books collapse.
Do not.
Oh
Do
my
not go
god.
against Eldath. Do not.
Eldath has spoken. Take your inspiration. I was gonna say yes anyway. I've established that I'm terrible at remembering that. I'm in the middle of a crafting project, so half of my desk space is taken up by a craft. So I've
Craft's
literally.
still good.
Yeah,
I feel your pain.
Yeah, that's why, because I had everything away from that stuff.
Oh.
Sounded like a Kerplunk set.
No, I had 2
Marvel.
books. I had 2 books stacked, one on top of the other, open, and yeah, it was just a cacophony of.
Oh, great dungeon master. Can I ask a favor?
What's that?
Can I retcon my miss with an inspiration die? Because I already had 6 of them.
You already had what, 6 inspiration dies? I'm gonna say that has already fired off. Hold on, let me get my books. I'm gonna say that one is already fired off. If you had done it within the moment, perhaps. Hold on. No divine intervention from Eldath, so that ruling stands. To make sure nothing else fell. So no, yeah, that miss stands.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, but yes, you have the inspiration. I've established that I'm terrible at remembering that. So there you go. Now we are back into the standard order, so it's going to go back to Cantriel at the top of the order.
All right. I'm going to first shout to everyone. It's the brother and sister we've been looking for. Try not to harm them. Focus on Bellic. And I'm going to take my last.
You actually know that the brother's already dead.
Oh, the brother's already dead? Okay.
The breastplate of Telgrin was found on the hobgoblins.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
right. I
his
was just
signet
thinking,
ring.
like, maybe this was like. Okay, so it's the sister.
Can we save them, or are they lost forever?
I don't know, but try.
Vi, make a wisdom check. Wisdom is your spellcasting thing, right? And use your proficiency bonus with this.
That's a 7 right there.
Okay. All right, so that's fine. Everybody's pointing at the domain dice, Megan.
I don't know. We have so little. We have to preserve them. Okay, fine. I'll use.
Okay,
one.
reroll.
That's a 18.
I wasn't going to say anything, but your party is pointing feverishly at them. As Griveth says this about can they be saved, Vi, you recognize something inherent in their physical presentation with this bark-like skin and with what your brother Caleb has said, that there has to be a connection between them and the tree. If they are servants of the tree, you suspect that if you can destroy the tree, you might be able to break its hold over them. So it is Cantriel. That was pretty much a free action.
Okay. So do I know now it's focus on the tree, or did she not say anything about it?
Unless she says something, you don't know that.
I did not say anything.
Okay. Then I'm going to take my +1 arrow and aim for Belak.
All right.
Let's see if I can get him. Whew. Okay, so I just rolled a 25.
Oh, I'm afraid that's gonna hit.
I figured as much. I just had a D8. There you are. Okay, so then damage is going to be 5.
5 damage to Belloc as an arrow strikes him. Ah! And Belloc is going to go now.
Bye, everybody.
As he looks around at all of you, and he looks over Talmud's head at you, Vi. And you see this look as he's looking at you. He looks around at everybody else and everything that's happening. And he looks at you, Vi, and he just shakes his head. And you just see disappointment there. And he is going to cast... I had this open, and then Eldath interfered. But Eldath was a good god. Here we go. He looks at you, Vi, and he speaks in Druidic. All of you hear the sound of the wind whistling through the trees as a storm builds up. And Vi, you hear on those words in Druidic, I summon the wind to my aid. And all around you, the wind begins to pick up. Brambles and brush begin to blow. The twig blights can't stand their ground as they begin to spread out. Almost like a whirling dervish begins to spin around Belloc as wind rapidly picks up for 10 feet in every direction around Belloc. The wind is blowing at 20 miles an hour now. Any of you, and that would be Vi, Talmud, Griveth is close enough. And Cantriel, did you move back at all? So you're all currently in this area of effect, but so are his companions. You are all deafened by the howling wind in your ears. The area around you is now difficult terrain because it takes you effort to move through the wind. And any ranged attacks will be at disadvantage because of the high wind. As he speaks these words and summons this. And that is his action. So it is now Talmud's turn.
Talmud, kind of crouching a little to try to lower his center of gravity against this wind as best he can, is going to kind of lean forward and take a half a step closer to Belloc and bring Gerta up and swing back straight at the druid. Okay. That is a 16 to hit.
I would like you to roll at disadvantage as the armored man next to him steps forward and thrusts his shield trying to deflect your blow.
Well, the second die was a 20, so the 16
All right,
will have
so the
to stand.
16, the 16 will stand and will hit him.
Excellent. Okay. So yeah, he brings this shield up, but I think the wind is like catching it and making the shield kind of like
Yeah.
wobble. And Talmud just kind of comes in underneath and clocks him across the stomach with Gerta for... Ooh, baby, that is super duper sexy. Okay, that is 18 points of bludgeoning damage. That's max damage. Down you go. Wow,
You
wow.
hear this, oof, and so that was 18.
18.
All right, so he does pass his concentration check. As the wind falters just a little bit, it kind of dies down and then continues with its fervor.
Reroll concentration check.
You want to? Okay. All right, I'm gonna take that away.
Smoke him if you got him.
Right. He's trying to catch his breath and he cannot maintain the wind spell as, and the last thing you hear is the exhalation of his own breath from the strike as the wind, and you hear twig blights clattering around the cavern, falling to the ground.
And immediately after that blow, dwarven spectral figures and one kobold rush out of Talmud and swarm all over Belloc. Once again, being an ancestor path, he will have disadvantage until my next turn. He will have disadvantage on any attack that is not made directed at me. And if he hits another player, another character, they have resistance to that damage.
Make me a perception check. Talmud. Actually, anybody can. Can anybody see your spiritual guardians? Your ancestral guardians?
I've been kind of playing it that way.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be in the book.
Everybody can go ahead and make a perception check.
That's a big old 10 for Talmud.
17 for Griveth.
Well, I rolled a 20, so it's a 26.
Rolled a 13.
Griveth and Cantriel, you notice as these spirit guardians pop up and are kind of moving around the space. These ancestral guardians, sorry. The Meepo one seems faint and is flickering, not quite fully established. It is the human is going to attack. The armored human is going to make an attack at Talmud as he rushes in, raising his long sword. Let's see. He will attack with this die.
Fight someone your own size.
Does a 15 hit?
On the button. Yeah, sorry, on the button.
No, sorry. I was thinking something through.
I was wondering if I was still muted.
As his sword comes down, it slashes across you, Talmud, for 10 points of slashing damage. Very rapidly. Just... And as Talmud's blood sprays from this arcs across, it strikes... Some of it hits you, Vi. And it's Vi and Griveth's turn now. Somebody go.
I'll let Vi go first.
Okay. So Vi would yell. Actually, no. She wouldn't yell. she is going to run for the tree.
Because Talmud interposed himself, you are not technically engaged with anybody, so you can do so. It's about 15 feet to get to the tree itself.
And right before she gets to the tree, she's going to do two things. She's going to yell back, because she didn't want like to say, hey, here's our big plan that I just figured out, and have them like do something. So right before she gets to the tree, she's gonna say, if we kill the tree, we can save them. And then she takes a huge swig of this flask she has in her pocket and immediately breathes out this fire on the tree. And I didn't write down what that is, so...
It is a... Hold on. That is a potion of fire breathing. I know that you get fire breath. You basically get 3 uses of it. The target has to make a DC 13 dexterity saving throw. Well, the tree is going to fail its dexterity saving throw.
4d6 fire damage, is that right?
Yes, it does 4d6 fire damage.
All right. That is going to be 17 points of fire damage.
I would also like you to make a perception check.
That is a 14.
You, especially since you're right up on it and you're blowing the fire on this thing, as you're exhaling this fire on the tree, you see that it's illuminating kind of a crease in the middle where parts of the tree, almost like it looks like it's starting to split into different trunks. You notice that this section is starting to open up, and you can see a clawed wooden hand slowly starting to emerge from this opening as this fire is striking it. And at the same time this is happening, Griveth, what are you going to do?
All right. So I see Vi take the initiative, lunge forward, gulp this potion down, and then spray it with with a fire breath like a fire breather. And I'm like holding up my morning star. I'm like, Vi has showed us the way. And I was getting, I feel that this is the place where the evil was coming from, right?
And
the tree.
What do you mean you feel that that's where it's coming from?
Remember when I was doing my
oh yeah, this is, yeah, you definitely have the sense of direction to know that this is where you were sensing the evil coming from.
Okay. I think this is cool. It's up to you whether you think it's cool or not. So I feel that, my sense of this being like an ancient evil, right, is, I'm sensing this. So I'm kind of feeling that I might have like a quick vision of what happened, maybe what made this tree or whatever. Can you tell me what I would see?
It happens fast. And it happens in quick flashes. Just literally, it's just a as you see the citadel after the cataclysm that caused it to crash, you see it in a flash, dragon cultists worshiping a Charladon. You see a cult leader who is also a vampire. You see a flash in an arc of light, of firelight. You see an arm raised with a wooden stake. You see the stake piercing through the vampire's chest into the ground. And then the last flash you see is like a time lapse in rapid motion of the vampire's body being overtaken as this stake takes root, mixing with his blood, and grows into completely engulfing him and becoming this Gulthias tree.
So I see when Vi runs up, I see the tree split, right? And this hand come out, or is it just coming out of the tree?
Only Vi saw it because she was right there.
Oh, I see. So I'm moving up close to her. Do I see it?
Make a perception check.
All right.
Because this is kind of happening at the same time.
Right. 9.
You do not.
Okay. So yeah, with all the bustle and the vision I just got kind of, knocked with, do I feel that like pouring holy water on this would hurt it?
You can certainly try.
Like knowing it's a vampire. I mean, I've kind of had the vision.
Right. You know that a vampire is how the tree was formed.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. So when I move up close to Vi, I have the vision, and so I'm gonna pull out my holy water and just smash the vial, like kind of swing it down near the bottom of the tree, so it like kind of drips down near the bottom of the trunk and like drips into the roots. So that's what I'm doing.
So you smash this vial into the tree, and as you do, where you smash it, now you can definitely see this figure emerging from the tree because you smashed right there as a second hand is pulling apart, and you see this face that is just eyes, like motes of light deep within. The rest of the face looks almost like a wooden mask. And as this face of twisted bark emerges, Griveth, you're the only one that hears this, as you hear this voice coming from it saying, "I am bad luck." And Griveth, you are distracted, not that it would make any difference, as everybody notices as 3 brilliant green streaks of magical energy arc through the air and impact Griveth as the blonde woman, launches magic missile at you. Holy. Joey does not want you guys to fail. He just dropped 5 more domain dice in your lap, so that's 3 more than I can track. Yeah, I definitely need to make bigger numbers. Thank you again. Good Lord. 5, 8.
Eldath is with us.
12 points of force damage as you are struck by these magic missiles.
Ugh.
And in front of your face, the tree makes and Vi and Griveth, and actually everybody can now hear this, as the tree makes a splitting sound. And this figure emerges that looks somewhere between an enlarged kobold form melded with tree form, and it has at the end of its left hand, as it emerges, you see the roots forming, the fingers intertwining and forming into a natural shield as another branch grows out of its shoulder blade. It reaches up and goes and breaks off a club. It smashes the club against the shield. I am bad luck. As a Gulthias infused Meepo enters the fray. I'm going to randomly roll evens Griveth, odds Vi, because you are both right there. Odds it is, as Wooden Meepo, maybe we'll call him Maple Meepo, makes an attack against you, Vi. Oh boy. These 32 domain dice might come into use here. The first strike is a 24 to hit. Somebody's got to...
Yeah, reroll it.
All right, that's one of the two that's not counted on the screen. So the reroll, that now becomes a 21 to hit. So that will hit. The second attack, also with the wooden club, is a 19 to hit.
Can I re-roll?
Yep.
Okay, yep.
It is now a 20 to hit.
I want to deflect that first attack.
It's now a 20 to hit. So you want a disadvantage roll on that first one?
Yes.
That disadvantage, the second die roll is a 17, so it'd be 24. So both are going to hit.
What? Question. What about the ancestral stuff from Talmud?
Oh, you are right. So disregard that. So they would be disadvantages. Let's rewind.
It's technically against Belloc.
Oh, that's true. That is true. So these both hit. These are both going to hit you, Vi. As a former ally, now made of wood, strikes you. You are going to take from the first hit. Oh my gosh, 3 of these are max damage. 19 points of bludgeoning damage. As the club rings upside you across your shoulders. It raises rapidly in the air. And the second strike deals 8, 14, 18 points of bludgeoning damage. What's this?
Okay, that doesn't quite kill me outright.
But you are unconscious?
Oh, very much so, yeah.
I was going to say, you just took like 30 some points of damage. So it didn't kill you outright, but it could have.
It was very close. Very close to killing me outright.
So the damage was 4d4 plus 4. So I rolled 8d4 and 5 of them were max damage. Vi goes down under the blows of this former ally. And it is... I have too many papers. Here we go. We are back at the top of the order as Vi falls to the ground. Cantriel, what are you going to do?
How far away is Vi?
Vi's up by the tree, so she's about 15 or 20 feet away from you. You're not currently engaged with anybody.
I'm going to Misty Step to Vi.
Done.
And Cure Wounds.
And you appear next to Vi. But it also means you are next to Griveth and Maple Meepo.
Well, I can.
I see Jeremy cringe every time I say that.
But can I do Cure Wounds and then drag
wait.
my back?
Tailquin Silverstrings has just come up with the perfect name. He is now Treepo. Why didn't I think of that? All right, excellent. Thank you for that, Tailquin. Eloquin, however you say that. Sorry, you were saying Cantriel.
The Misty Step's a bonus action. Cure Wounds is my action. Can I pull her away as my movement? Is that feasible?
I'm going to allow you to do it as part of your Cure Wounds action, that you're healing her as you're dragging her away.
Okay.
But it will provoke an opportunity attack from Treepo. It's only one attack, not the dual attack.
All right. Let's do it. See what happens.
You're going to take it?
Yeah.
That is a 14 to hit.
Okay. It just hits. Wait.
Reroll.
Reroll.
All right, so that is... Did we use the other invisible one? I know we used one of them.
There's one more left.
All right, both invisibles are down. The new roll makes it a 16 to hit.
All right.
So as you grab Vi and start pulling her away and healing her, how much did you heal her for?
10 points.
Vi, you come to consciousness. Cantriel, the gods are in your favor. 3 of those were minimal damage. So that is a total of 9 points of bludgeoning damage as Treepo just catches you with his club. Swinging at you. I am bad luck.
I'm going to turn. Can I scream back at him? You fucking idiot!
Absolutely.
Ugh.
And it is now Belloc's turn. Belloc is not looking the greatest, having been struck by Talmud. He looks around at everybody and he reaches into his pouch and he pulls out a piece of obsidian and he begins to mutter as he waves it in the air. The earth erupts. He throws it at the ground, all around you. Centered on that point, in each direction, and you are all close enough. Nope. He's going to throw it so that it's affecting Talmud. Actually, he's targeting Talmud primarily, who's engaged with him, because all 3 of you... No, how far... You moved away. How far did you drag her away?
As far as possible.
Which would have been 15 feet because you're dragging her.
Yeah.
So you 2 would be caught in this as well. I need dexterity saving throws from Cantriel, Vi, and Talmud. And Vi, it's going to be at disadvantage because you're prone.
Can I use a domain dice to make it just normal?
Absolutely.
Yay. Oh, well, no.
As I'm going to grab 1, 2, and where's my third D12? Okay, who... I was going to say who failed, but you don't know what the DC is. Hold on, I guess I see what the DC is. All right, what did you guys get for your saves?
22.
Griveth? Was it? No, you're out of range. Talmud?
I spent one of my points of inspiration, and I got a dirty 20.
And Vi?
Got a good old nat 1.
Yikes. So, as the earth begins shaking and erupting all around you. The earth is literally turning over as if somebody is tilling the soil. Just rocks are emerging and bashing against you, Vi, and you take 21 points of bludgeoning damage.
But isn't that coming from Belloc?
That is coming from Belloc, but it's a spell attack.
And it doesn't count for the...
How is the ancestral thing worded, Jeremy?
According to my notes, it is not detailed, so I'm going to have to look it up in the book real quick.
I'm looking as well. That's Path of the Ancestral Guardian.
It's Xanathar's. Barbarian.
It's on attack rolls, and this was not an attack roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be. Yep. So Vi is knocked unconscious again as a large rock comes up from underneath and cracks her in the head. Cantriel and Talmud, you each take 10 points of bludgeoning damage, and the ground around you is now difficult terrain. Griveth, you were out of the range of this. As he casts this... Hold on, I'm missing a book. Too many books. As he casts this... Oh, wait, it's on the sheet. He begins moving away.
Like the swing at his ass?
I was going to say, technically, there's nothing, even though you got hit by the attack, it doesn't disrupt your ability to take a, whatchamacallit? Oh, that is an action.
I don't need no concentration check.
What's that?
Said I don't need no concentration check.
Nope, that's not what I was checking. All right. Yeah, go ahead, take your opportunity attack as he begins moving away.
I will do so gladly. How is a 15?
That's going to hit him.
Yeah. Suck it, Blue. That's 13 points of bludgeoning damage. Preferably to like the back of his leg or something.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to roll my body hit die.
Ooh, yeah.
As you take a swing as he's running away. Oh, you crack him in the head.
I'll take it. Yep.
Extending the full reach of Gerta, and you hear this thud, and he stumbles. And I'm going to say that cuts his movement down. He only gets about 15 feet away from you. And you can see blood that does that thing where you hit him, and then as he stumbles, it all of a sudden just starts pouring down the back of his neck. He's in very, very bad shape. That was Belloc's turn, right? It's now your turn, Talmud.
So Talmud stalks after the stumbling Belloc with malice, kind of contorting his face. Even though it's somewhat more effeminate, it's completely still filled with rage and anger. And he says, "You should not have done that to that poor girl. Now you're going to pay. It's going to be the end of you." And it's going to swing recklessly. That is 19 to hit.
19 is going to hit.
That is 12 more points of bludgeoning damage.
How does Talmud kill Belloc, the outcast?
Stalking after him and giving him this curse. This kind of somewhat effeminate, like Gerta comes out and smashes him right in the small of his back, which causes him to kind of crumple down onto his knees forward. And then with the inertia of the first swing, Talmud actually spins 360 degrees around with the weight of Gerta out with, centrifugal force coming around, and then slams down in the back of his skull.
Jeremy, give me that yell one more time.
Ah!
Now talk normal.
This is my voice.
Oh, I've noticed whenever you do war cries, it causes your volume to dip.
I noticed that with your volume earlier.
That's interesting. Something's going on in there.
It's like
I was hoping it would bring it back up. You're still kind of quiet right now.
Did
But-
it do it with me when I did mine?
No.
I didn't notice it with yours, but I did notice it with Jake's.
Huh. So, anyway, you see, as you take out Belloc, you don't see a powerful druid. You see in that moment, as he turns around and you finish him, you see a, you actually see a frightened old man. And then you very quickly eliminate that frightened old man's face with Gerta. But around you, Tripo and the others are still fighting. As
Whatever movement I have left, I'm going to move towards that fray.
you have 15 feet of movement to basically move back over there, which puts you within about 15 feet of the tree.
Okay, so it's probably 20 because I have a 25-foot movement as a dwarf.
Okay. Then it is so the big man, you basically are kind of moving back towards the big guy, but he's turning his attention to the others. In particular, he's looking at the one who's next to the tree still, Griveth. As this man moves to engage you, Griveth, he comes rushing in with his sword raised, and he swings it at you. And that is going to be a 21 to hit.
Reroll that.
Summoning the powers of Eldath to intervene. He swings, and there's a whooshing sound as the sword, you just sort of move back a little bit, and the sword just right in front of your face. As he misses you. Vi, I would like you to make a death saving throw.
I'm gonna actually roll. That's a 9.
That is one failed death saving throw from Vi. As Cantriel, you see Vi kind of shudder and spasm in her unconsciousness a little bit, and you realize in the churned earth around you, that has, with the death of Belloc, the earth actually sort of just, as if the churned earth was almost like a suddenly turned liquid. It just sort of, so it's no longer difficult terrain, but you see the pool of blood around Vi's head seeping into the soil. At the same moment, Griveth, now engaged with Sir Bradford. What are you going to do?
So what is Tripo doing?
Tripo is also standing right near there. He had, the last thing he had done was attack Cantriel.
Can I interpose myself between them and all these enemies?
How would you like to do that? Just move yourself into a position like that?
Yeah, just kind of shifting into position, making myself the target, kind of taunting them.
Yes, but to do that, you will draw an opportunity attack from Sir Bradford.
I'll take it.
Okay. That is a dirty 20. Nope, that's a 19 to hit.
Reroll.
Burn through those domain dice. Yes, use them all. That is now a 14 to hit. As Sir Bradford strikes at you as you interpose yourself, you instinctively put your shield up. As his sword strikes your shield, there is a spray of blue sparks. And there's a sound almost like glass shattering at the same time. But you don't see any other effect from that. Off by her lonesome, Sharwin is going to...
Oh, wait, don't I get a turn?
Oh, yeah, sorry, you just took your movement. Yes, sorry, you do get a turn.
Yay! Okay, Eldath be praised. Okay, so I say, Cantriel, I'm going to hold them off. Help Vi, do what you can. And I'm sounding very desperate as I'm trying to put myself, between these enemies and, warding off blows, and I'm asking Eldath to help me end this. So I am going to swing at the warrior.
All right.
My weapon. My turn now. By the power of Eldath. That is an 18.
That just hits.
Oh. I call on the power of Eldath. Smite these enemies! Smite these foul foes! Oh, yes. 18 points of damage.
What does it look like as you call on the power of Eldath, and with a single blow, you take down Sir Bradford?
As I call on the power of Eldath, and my weapon just glows into like almost a blinding white light. I say, sorry, friend, but you're no longer human. I must do this. And I just slam into his armor chest. His armor explodes with holy power. Just goes ching, ching, ching. Metal bits are bouncing off the tree, flying on the ground. His rib or his torso almost literally explodes with holy power, because he was so tainted with this evil. And all four of his extremities just go flying off in different directions. His head goes flying one way, his arms and legs go flying other ways. Shield goes whizzing off in the distance, and his sword just kind of goes shing and just sticks in the ground.
As his sword does this, it kind of flies out of his hand and just does that. You see it pierce through and shatter a rock. And you hear that sound. You see those blue sparks, and you hear that sound of breaking glass as it shatters a rock and drives a full 10 inches into the soil.
Magic weapon.
Sir Bradford is dead. Belak is dead. That was all right. Now Sharwin is surveying all around her. She begins to cast. As she reaches into her pouch, she pulls out a handful of sand, looking over towards Griveth and looking at Talmud who destroyed Belak. And she goes and blows the sand as she says, "Sleep." Let's see, those are 1, 2. Why are D8 so hard to find when you're looking in your tray of dice? I mean, come on. Got 4 of them here, and I can only find 3 of them. Alright, so 18. How many hit points do you have, Talmud?
I currently have, thanks to Rage, 33 remaining.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? On my sleep spell, I rolled 32. You just miss. As the sand drifts through the air and her words are uttered, your eyes grow really heavy and you blink for half a second too long. But you snap out of it and resist her magical spell. And it is now Tripo's turn. Tripo is taking on Griveth, raising his club. Tripo is going to swing. That is a dirty 20 to hit on the first one. And a dirty 20 on the second one.
Reroll both.
All right. Kind of figured as much. So we're going to do this. Put that back up there and knock this down to that. All right. So the first attack is now a 17. And the second attack is now a 21. So Tripo takes a swing, missing you, but he arcs around with it and drives it right down on top of you. So for that second one that actually hits Griveth, you take 10, 13, 17 points of bludgeoning damage. And you can all hear, well, except for Vi, the ringing sound of this club striking the armor. We are back to the top of the order. Cantriel, Vi lies bleeding out in front of you, spasming, going into some sort of shock as she appears to be dying before you. What are you going to do, Cantriel?
Where's Tripo from us?
Tripo's over by the tree fighting with Griveth.
I'm blocking him.
And Griveth has put himself between Tripo and all of you guys.
All right, I'm going to do Cure Wounds on her. It's my last one. Okay, 9.
Once again, Vi, as you're shuddering, your eyes snap open. Your entire body hurts. Your head hurts especially hard. You're looking up into the eyes of Cantriel, who leans over you. He's dead. Talmud, you're up.
Still with the rage of cousin Tildane, Talmud stalks over to where this other fray is happening. I think closing with Tripo. Yeah, closing with Tripo. And once again, just going to, once he's halfway there, he kind of breaks into like a little bit of a jog and brings Gerta up and down onto Meepo with reckless attack. That's gonna be 19.
19 is going to hit.
Yes. Okay. That's gonna be to the tune of 11 points of bludgeoning damage.
In your state and attacking like this, do any of your attacks does any of your effects make your attacks magical?
No.
Okay, so it's a mundane attack. You strike Tripo and it's like hitting a tree. You see some bark fleck off, but it's as if Gerta barely has an effect as he turns to look at you and just says, "Bad luck." Dead. Vi and Griveth. Vi, you are now conscious, lying prone.
Vi looks at Cantriel, takes in a deep breath, and first all that can come out is a few coughs as blood kind of bubbles up from her mouth. But as she kind of clears her airway, she slowly sits up. We have to destroy that tree. She's going to get up and she's going to go at the tree. Just kind of, she's like, she's not even carrying, she's not going that fast either. I can imagine she's like limping along, pulling her leg behind her as she takes another swig of this fire.
And actually, you consumed all of the potion.
Did you say I got 3 uses?
Within 1 hour, you get to use it 3 times.
Oh.
So I see, as you pull yourself to your feet, it's that classic, almost in slow motion, the din of battle fades, and all you hear is Vi's breathing. And you see Talmud running in this rage as Griveth has just been hit over the head by Tripo. Talmud runs in, swinging Gerta and seeming to have no effect, and still Talmud strikes. Tripo looks at him, and you can see something is being said, but you don't even hear it as you walk around them and you find yourself facing the tree. You take in a deep breath and you exhale. Roll your damage. Because obviously the tree's going to fail its dexterity save.
That is going to be a whole 9 points.
Since it's a cone, can she get Tripo and the tree in the blast?
Because you have interposed yourself and Talmud has joined the fray, all 3 of you would take the damage from it.
It's also not a cone. It just says,
I think it's a...
at a target.
I don't have that one open, do I?
Yeah, it just says, ooh, it's a bonus action though.
Oh, it is?
After drinking this potion, you can use a bonus action to exhale fire.
Oh. Fantastic. Then you still have an action. As you exhale fire all over this tree.
She is now having tears in her eyes, this heavy breathing. And she takes her staff, she closes her eyes, and with a huge wail, she hits the tree. This kind of this energy pulsating from her hands into the staff.
Roll the attack. I mean, you're obviously going to hit it. I just need to see if you're going to actually be able to damage it.
That's a 22.
You're going to be able to damage it. Go ahead and roll the D10.
That's 8.
Another 8 points. As you strike the tree, there's a cracking sound. And the tree splits. You haven't fully destroyed it, but you've done significant damage. And in that cracking sound, the rush of sound and everything coming around just snaps back into place. Griveth, what are you doing in this same instant?
Does the tree look like it's on its last limb?
You bastard. The tree looks already from the beginning like it was dead and dying, so it's hard to gauge The best indication is the cracking sound that some significant damage has been done to it. Though you as a paladin don't really have any sense of how much a tree can take.
So do I feel somehow that all these creatures connected to this tree would somehow die or lose their power if this tree was no longer...
Give me a wisdom check.
Ooh, yeah. I'm good at that. 16.
As you're looking around, surveying the scene, you do get a sense that if the tree is destroyed, that it could end its hold over Sharwin and possibly even Treepo.
Oh. All right. I'm gonna... Griveth sees this desperate chance. I mean, he probably can't take another hit. Like if he gets hit again, it's probably out. We're out of healing. This could be, this is the kind of the do or die moment. He could try to, he could use his power to help himself, or he can try to end this. And he is going to try to end this. So he raises his mace, or I'm sorry, his Morning Star. He calls on the power of Eldath, brings it back in a slow motion arc, which looks very dynamic, by the way. And he swings it forward. And he's going to plant the mace right into the tree, or the Morning Star right into the tree, and smite it.
Roll the attack. And you guys just earned yourselves another domain die, thanks to Castle Mac resubscribing for the 5th month in a row with that subscription. Thank you, Steven, for that. And that's going to put you guys at... get you guys back on the board here at 26.
Sweet. So I got a dirty 22.
That is enough to hit the tree.
Roll
that damage with your smite damage.
Eldath, flow through me! Flow your power through me! Save my friends! End this evil! I call on you! Yes. 20 points of damage.
Griveth, the Knight of Smite, the Knight of Eldath. How do you end the Gulthias tree? What does it look like as Eldath courses through you and you strike and destroy the Gulthias tree?
Eldath is with me, and I can hardly withstand the power. Like I'm shaking with the power. I can barely contain it, and the weapon comes forward, striking it, and there's this horrible splintering sound as it just shears through the tree, right in half, and the tree just kind of it literally like splits and falls over, and then just kind of. And it suddenly dissolves into dust like a vampire. Like, when you stake a vampire, it's like it just like dissolves into the soil. It's like hissing and smoking. And there's like kind of a foul, like sulfur smell. That's the only thing that's left.
As you do this, the tree splits and shatters and dissolves into the ground. Treepo stands upright and looks around, the big luminescent eyes blinking, and looks at all of you and looks over at Talmud, cocks its head to the side. I am bad luck. And it drops to its knees and drops its club. Sharwin staggers. Her eyes flutter. She rubs at them. And as she opens them, they're no longer black orbs. They're brilliantly blue eyes. And as she looks at her hands, her skin, though pale, is normal. She touches her face, and you can see now that the bark texture has left her face. She looks around at all of you. She takes a step forward, staggers, and collapses to the ground, weeping. What would you all like to do?
Does Meepo dissolve like the tree?
No.
Oh, he doesn't?
He's dropped his club and is down on his knees. His shield hand has actually unwoven and turned back into spindly root-like fingers as he just stands there, or rather kneels there, with his head hanging. I'm sorry, I can hear B's cat.
I think Talmud, still like contorted in anger, like raises Gerta up, and is almost going to strike down at Tripo again. And then there's a kind of this flash of another emotion, compassion maybe, and Gerta suddenly gets heavy, and instead Talmud kind of drapes Gerta off to the side and head first down into the dirt, and he drops down on his knees in front of Tripo and kind of puts his hands on Tripo's back and like lays his own face down in his hands and just begins to weep.
One thing. I also, when I destroyed the tree, something rolled from the direction of the tree and kind of like clinked into my foot. And I look down and I see it's like a seed pod. So I reach down and I pick it up and I put it in my satchel.
Okay. Cantriel, what do you do?
I'm probably going to sort of like just fold down upon myself and just like kneel down from all of it, just taking everything in.
What about Vi?
Vi has moved and is standing heavily leaning on her quarterstaff in front of her brother. And she kneels down beside him and just takes a lock of his hair and that was covering his deformed face and just parts it back behind his ear. She does not say anything. There are no tears in her eyes. She just leans there, staring down.
After a time, would you all just make your way back out of the Citadel to town? Would you do any further investigation of the area? We'll kind of zoom out a little bit.
Are those, so just a quick question. Are the apples from the Gothias tree?
You can assume that, though it's difficult to tell at this point. I feel safe in assuming you guys would gather up basically loot the bodies, kind of check the area. Griveth, are you grabbing Sir Bradford's sword? I noticed you had your eyes on that.
I did, yes.
All right. I will tell you later, after you've spent some time with it, what that does. On your brother, Vi, you find that he has a key that eventually you find goes to the locked office that you had gone through in your smaller form. You find 3 potions of healing. So somebody mark that down. 2 doses of antitoxin. You also find a wand. Vi, if you take that wand, I will tell you later what it does. Sir Bradford, in addition to the sword, had a 1 second. I gotta check something real quick. Because I'm thinking. Remember way back when I said you guys move towards the poison fountain? Wait, I didn't just say that. You guys found some stuff in that area.
Did Sir Bradford have better armor than chainmail?
He had, I'll tell you in a moment what he had. No, he had chainmail, but you blew that apart.
Oh, right. I did explode him.
Just remember, when you narrate something, it becomes canon. Let's see, that was area 30. I just need to verify this real quick. No, okay, that was, you had found when you defeated the giant rat mama early on, you had found a 4th party member's signet ring on its finger with the name Caracas. But Sir Bradford has a signet ring, a gold signet ring, that's worth 10 gold pieces. Sharwyn has her ring on her.
Can I take Sir Bradford's ring?
Yes,
Anybody object?
absolutely. Absolutely. In addition, when you eventually make your way into the study, you find the following items. And somebody needs to write these down because it's on you guys to remember it. A spell scroll of Entangle. A spell scroll of Protection from Poison. A tome on Druidic theories on the cycle of life and death, worth 150 gold pieces. And in the desk, you find 4 agate gems worth 20 gold pieces each, and a total of 365 gold pieces. Yes, Jeremy, 4.
4 agates.
4
and how much
agates.
gold? How much gold was it?
The gold was 365 gold pieces.
365. And the agates were 20 gold apiece?
Yep.
Okay.
On your way out of the grove, first of all, what would you do, Vi, with your brother's body? Would you just leave it there?
Yeah. Yeah, she would.
Eventually, as you guys begin to start to move away, Talmud, when you eventually collect yourself and you begin to rise, you hear a shuffling behind you. And you see Tripo shuffling along, following you. I am bad luck.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Come on.
And if you guys will allow it, Tripo will accompany you. And I will give you guys statistics. I'm going to give Talmud the statistics since he seems to be kind of not attuned, but
His Jedi Master.
yeah, he's
Imprinted.
Talmud is his rocket raccoon to Tripo's Groot.
Awesome.
I did not intentionally make a D&D Groot. I realized after the fact that I had created D&D Groot. So on your way out, I need to know, would you plan to stop by the goblins and tell them what transpired?
Talmud would like to, because he has something he wants to ask the goblin matron.
What would you ask of the goblin matron?
When we're kind of confronted with them again and brought before her, Talmud's going to say, we have done this task, which has greatly aided your people, if I'm not mistaken. There is kind of seems to have like a really hard time with this, asking a goblin for a favor. Would you happen to know if there is the skeleton of a dwarf down here anywhere?
Many bones have lain here. Know not who they belong to. Care not. The matron is upset with you all, finding that you've destroyed the Gothias tree. They had hoped you would liberate it and that they would be able to reap its benefits. But they agreed to let you all continue on your way as you have freed them from Belloc. And they now have, instead of a tiny room at their disposal, they can move down into the Twilight Grove, which they immediately want to do. But Grenell, if pressed, she just tells you they don't know anything about they've never cared about any bones that they found. If they didn't have meat on them worth eating, then they didn't care.
Then I think Talmud would implore the rest of the party for help in finding the remains of his great uncle Horn.
My friend, we are spent both physically and emotionally. We need to recover. We need to rest. I know this means a great deal to you. I understand this, but I think we need to, for the good of the group, I think we need to move on. We need to go back to Oakhurst.
Then you go ahead. I'll catch up.
Is there anything you can do, Jeremy, to bring your volume up? I know you've done something in the past. I can barely hear you.
I can get closer. Does that help?
A little bit. Let me see.
Cantriel, Vi, we can't. No.
You would have time to benefit from a rest here in what was Goblinville. They're already leaving the area, so if you guys wanted to rest up, you could even take a long rest.
That's true.
So we can say that you are able to rest up.
We can't. We're not going to leave you.
Thank you, I think, is the best I can manage to say, Griveth. Thank you.
So I also asked the goblin matron, did they save the dragon skin for me?
She tells you that they have already taken what was valuable from the dragon for their own needs. Again, you're met with anger. They're very upset that you guys destroyed the Gulthias tree. So they do not have... She doesn't give any indication that they have anything of the dragon to give to you.
We understand you're upset, but what is worse, losing the tree or being under the yoke of this evil? We have freed you. Now you are free to move. You're free to explore this place, to expand. And we promise we will not, as long as you don't not molest our town, we shall not bother you. This shall be your place.
Your choice, persuasion or intimidation?
Oh, 9. Should I re-roll it?
That's up to you. You've got 26 domain dice.
I'm going to re-roll it. I'm going to use one of my inspiration.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you that back.
Oh, that's better. Okay, 18.
The matron turns to some of the goblins that are already packing up their meager belongings and beginning their exodus. A couple of them grab a bundle. This bundle is the size of a pack. It is moldering wool blanket wrapped in moldy rope, but through holes in the blanket, you can see some dragon hide. They drop it at your feet. One of them spits on it, and then they turn to leave.
I will molest them no further. Yeah. So before we left the chamber with the tree, I did do last rites on. Oh, I did do last rites on Vi's brother. I don't know how she like. Vi, what did you do? Was that something you just ignored, or you actually turned your back on, or how did you deal with that?
She would have walked away. She would not have stuck around, but she wouldn't have stopped you or even said anything. It would just be more of, but she would watch you. You would see her looking at you from a distance, kind of smoking her cigarette. And as you kind of pass her, she just gives you the smallest of grateful nods.
So like, yeah, just a glance between us. Also, I give last rites to Sir Bradford, and I ask forgiveness for slaying someone who could have been saved, because I realized after we destroyed the tree, my mistake, and I killed this poor victim. So yeah, so I'll have more on that later, where I honor his memory. But anyways, yeah. So I'm asking for forgiveness and doing last rites on what remains of his exploded body from my god power. So yeah, that'll happen before we left the tree chamber. But yeah, I guess I look at the party, and everybody agrees to rest, right?
You notice that V has started kind of, or V, gosh. Yes, V has started packing up. I am now narrating your life. That Vi has started kind of packing up. And she puts a hand on Talmud's shoulder. It has been enlightening. It has been an experience coming through here with all of you. And she looks at Talmud. She's like, I really do hope you find who you are looking for. But I'm very tired. And I think it is my time to go.
Pats her hand and he says, "We'll see you later."
If you ever find yourself, well, I guess when you come back, when you find yourself here in Oakhurst, you know where my shop is.
It's the place with all of the vegetables.
Just follow your nose and your hatred. And she looks to both, she looks to Griveth, and you are a good person. Don't let your power cloud over that.
Thank you. Sometimes I don't feel like I am.
Your intentions are good and pure, and you will learn to control whatever power you have.
I hope so. Someday.
And then she looks to Cantriel. You keep these two in line.
Oh, I think that could be easily handled.
I'll see you again at the tavern.
We absolutely must.
And Vi turns and leaves.
Is this before or after you rest?
Before.
The rest of you take your rest. You awaken well rested, healed. Hours have passed. And you eventually are able to make your way back through where you came. No sign of the kobolds. They stay hidden. And eventually you make it outside, back out through that tower where Talmud first triggered that very first trap. And as you look up and far above you, you see where the scar in the land opens up to the sky. You realize that that is the very cliff from which your great uncle Horm fell in your vision, Talmud. And periodically looking up and moving outside the edge of the ruins, you begin to scramble over broken rocks and debris, checking your position. And eventually you come to a spot that you remember from the vision. You don't see a skeleton. You don't see bones. You don't see any sign of your great uncle Horm. Your uncle's not a god. Your great uncle Horm. Give me a investigation check.
I'm going to spend a domain die. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, so
I put my hand on his shoulder and he gets bardic inspiration with that.
save it. It's
Cantriel and Griveth. Cantriel and Griveth, give me investigation checks.
Okay.
I got a 2 and then a 1. So
14.
12 for me.
Not really sure what you all are looking for. You're just kind of looking where Talmud is. Talmud, just, you can't see anything. And then you turn, in Cantriel, you dislodge a stone. And the stone falls away. And next to it is another stone with a gleam of gold. Except you realize this stone is not a stone, but a skull with 3 gold teeth. It's a dwarven skull. And as you begin to look around the area, you find 2 additional items. A black, orcish arrowhead, the flights and shaft long since disintegrated. And a dwarven dagger with your clan's name etched into the blade. You are standing on the final resting spot of your great Uncle Horm. Eventually, you all make it back to town. You make it back to Oakhurst. Carolyn is overjoyed that you have returned her daughter, and saddened at the loss of her son and the loss of life of the others. Thankful to see you all. She honors the deal, and she pays you all a total of 400 gold pieces. She tells you that though there is a time of sadness, it is also a time of joy. She is so thankful to be reunited with her daughter, and tells you that there will be celebration in the Old Boar Inn tonight. Old Garen, the bartender, the old bartender, so happy to see you return, Cantriel. As the celebration begins, and everybody, the drinks are flowing freely. Is Vi at the celebration? Vi is nowhere to be seen. But old Garen beseeches you, Cantriel, to regale them all with song.
Did you miss me?
Oh, you know, actually I did. It's been quiet around here.
Oh, I couldn't imagine why.
Oh, please. I just want to hear your voice and your music filling this place again. It is a celebration, after all.
I'd be very happy to, but it's not exactly the most cheerful song. It's just with everything we've been through, I thought it might be good to honor those who kind of fell along the way.
I know, I just like to hear your voice.
Tell you what, I'll get up there and sing. You promise I'll have my mead waiting for me?
Absolutely.
Consider it a deal. So I'm going to walk up to the stage area, and I'm actually going to look around a little bit. And it's at this point you see her years, even though she still looks young and vibrant. You can see that there's a lot that she's been through. But this slow smile starts to creep across her face because she's enjoying seeing everyone celebrating and happy that things are better again and that families are reunited. And it's almost bittersweet seeing this. So she's going to just sit down on the stool that's usually there. She's not going to take out any of her instruments. And she's going to seek out her companions from the journey. And she'll notice that there's Griveth. And her eyes will fall on Talmud. And she makes a point of looking directly into Talmud's eyes. And she just softly says, for those who aren't with us anymore, these tears I've cried 1,000 oceans, and I would cry 1,000 more if that's what it takes to sail you home. I'm aware what the rules are. You know that I will run. You know that I will keep you. I'll follow you over steel barriers and through frozen fields. You know that I will keep you. I'll follow you. And if I die, oh, will you still remember playing at the stream and floating toys down? I can't believe that I would keep you from flying, and I would cry 1,000 more if that's what it takes to sail you home. And then she's going to just walk off the stage and walk up to her room after taking her meat off the bard.
To our friends we've lost.
And as that song is filling the tavern, in cinematic fashion, while we still hear the song, we see as Cantriel has taken her bow, she takes her drink, heads up to her room. We see a solitary female figure standing on the outskirts of town, not far from the tavern. This magical voice drifting out through the streets, the sounds of the murmurs of the crowd dying down as Vi sighs deeply, turns, and begins walking away over the hills in the moonlight. As she goes to her room, Cantriel finds a note that is signed by Vi that just says that she had to leave. It's too painful here in Oakhurst. I need to go elsewhere and see what this world holds for me. And as the song filters through, the camera pans down and around the countryside, and as Vi walks over the hills, flanked by trees and shrubbery, and her silhouette disappears over the hill. Next to the tree, 3 silhouettes of saplings shift, and you see glowing red eyes, and you hear the crackling of the saplings as they disappear into the shadows. And that is where we are going to end Season 1 of our campaign. Whew. There were so many different ways that could go. Thank you, V, for that incredible song to give us an end credits a la Lord of the Rings. That was beautiful. So, Wow. Yeah, so it appears that Vi has decided to find her fortune elsewhere, but that does not mean that Megan is going anywhere. Before we go for the night here, I think what we're going to do, we're going to talk about this offline. There's a possibility I'm going to talk amongst the group here. We may come on for an hour or two next week and do spend more time. Let's talk about our characters, talk about the campaign, if everybody is able and wants to do that. Otherwise, we will set that up at another time. We are coming back in January with a second season called The Forge of Fury, with Griveth, Cantriel, and Talmud returning. Ted from Nerdarchy will be joining us, and Megan will be returning with somebody new. Who? We'll have to wait and see. Griveth, I will say this for those that are wondering, the wand that Vi found, and if she took it with her, then she has it, is a wand of entangle. But Griveth, the sword that you took from Sir Brafford, Sharwin actually tells you that this sword is a magical sword that Sir Brafford had called Shatterspike. It is a +1 longsword that also, when it strikes an object, if it hits, it automatically crits against the object and does either slashing or bludgeoning damage against things like, doors, or perhaps if you had picked up the sword and used it against the tree, things like that. So basically that means that when you're attacking certain items and things, and I'll give you more information on that, there's additional AC that you have to beat in order to... Basically, you're lucky. When Sir Brafford was striking at you, if he had rolled one higher on one of his attacks, your shield would have been destroyed. Possibly your weapon. That's how this thing works. I've got additional information and questions for each of you offline. But yes, we will be returning, and stick around for a few moments, or if you're watching this on the VOD, we are going to, after the outros here, we are going to show the teaser trailer for season 2. So I'm going to go around, if I can speak, I'm going to go around, get final words from everybody. Not a big long soliloquy like a couple sessions ago, Scotty, but just tell us a few things, because we do want to have another session where we can talk about this, but a little bit about what you thought about it, and then tell us where we can find you and whatnot. And then when it gets back to me, we'll show the trailer, and then we're going to head out of here. So we're going to start with Scotty this time.
All right. Wow. I'm not going to go into too much, but like that, the whole like kind of climax, and the coming down from that and everything was pretty amazing. Like that fight was there was a lot of emotion for me, like in that fight, with Vi and her brother, and just the desperate circumstances we were in, and not wanting this group to die, and then with Vi leaving, is really a sad moment, but it feels right, like what she did, like thematically, and like what her character would do, it just feels right. And that was amazing. It's like usually you're kind of like, oh, we defeated the boss, yeah, so cool, we're awesome and everything, and this, but we used all our spells and all this kind of stuff, we were so cute, and then the fight didn't feel that way to me. Like, it didn't feel like, oh, we're going to use our best tactics and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. It felt like a real narrative like unfolding and happening. And to me, it was very emotional, and like just this kind of somber end. It's very somber. It's not the usual. Oh, we beat the okay. It's like move on with our lives, whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but yeah, that was pretty amazing and very satisfying end. So yeah, I'll stop rambling. And I'm DM Scotty, and I have the theDMsCraft, and I do crafting. If you don't know, check out the theDMsCraft. Just look it up on the internet, and you'll find it. So yeah, that's it, and I'll pass it to the next person.
And I will just say real quick, thank you, first of all. And just as much thanks goes to all of you. But one of the things that I started doing earlier this year I actually started it, I think, with Bastards of Bastion, which Megan was also in, a Harbinger sci-fi mini campaign that I ran. I started running these shorter sessions of 2.5 to 3 hours, sometimes as short as 2 hours. Actually, I probably actually started a little bit earlier late last year with Tomb of Annihilation. But when you're running in shorter segments and you're running weekly, it allows you to approach it episodically. So every session doesn't necessarily have to be a precise picking up. Now, we were doing a dungeon crawl, so it was. But I feel as a DM, it gives me, knowing roughly where I am in the story, I can move us toward an ending by having a fluid stop time. I can say, all right, rather than continuing on, we're going to stop at 2 hours because this is a good dramatic point to end. Or going that extra, to 3 hours. I think we had one session, we went 3.5. And say, okay, this is a good stopping point. So it's a really good approach as a DM. Now, I didn't start out with some of the story arcs in mind because we didn't know this was going to go as long as it did and turn into a full-blown campaign. But it was around the midway point where I was able to make adjustments, and this very much became a Vi-centric story arc, which made sense with the big bad being a druid. And Vi, Megan coming in playing a druid character, it worked. And a lot of that credit goes to Megan for when she started to reveal her character's backstory to us as an audience. The characters actually never knew the depth of Vi's story. She said certain fragments of it, but never went into full detail with them. So I always love seeing the characters that Megan brings. I love everybody's characters, but I've played the most with Megan. I've seen her variety. So let's go to Megan next.
You just cannot get rid of me.
And I don't want to.
Hi, I'm Megan. I am one half of the YouTube channel Dice on Ice. This has been an absolute blast. I've loved these players, and the DM are just, it's so amazing, and I love the ending, and I can't wait for season 2, not session. So yeah.
Next up, Jeremy, Mr. Talmud.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jeremy. I have the YouTube channel, The Erasmus Expeditions. I'm also a part of the Dudes of Yore. Go check both of those out on YouTube if you would. I'd be very, very grateful. I've played with Jake quite a few times, thankfully, as well as with Megan. And I knew what to expect out of both of them, but was still very pleasantly surprised. It's always a joy to kind of start a back and forth with people that you have a little bit of a rapport with, so kind of where you can go. Some people don't get as offended about things, so you have a comfort level that you can kind of establish, and that's very, very helpful. Because sometimes you get caught up in the moment and do some crazy stuff as a role player, and it's nice to have people there that are kind of a safety net barking dogs. And this is the first time that I've played with either V or with Scotty, both of which I have been watching their channels for some time now. Scotty for years. So it was truly an honor to be able to have the opportunity to not only meet you guys, but to meet you through the lens of a game, which is, in my opinion, the best way to get to know someone in our hobby. It's, I think, the truest of a person's nature comes out when you're gaming. So it's been an absolute joy to be a part of this game and to explore not only Talmud's history and backstory, but also everyone else's. It's a very eclectic bunch of characters that all had this really nice kind of common thread that kind of ran through them all, where they had a little bit of a troubled past that kind of tended to catch up to them in the moment when things got hot. So yeah, like I have absolutely enjoyed myself. I've never been a part of a game where the audience had this much interaction, both mechanically with the domain dice, as well as just being there week after week and being active in the chat and being excited. So this whole experience has been really, I mean, I feel blessed to have been asked to be a part of this. So thank you, Jake, very, very much for asking me to take part in this.
Well, thank you for taking part in it. And as a side note, tomorrow night on Erasmus Expeditions, Jeremy will be running the second session of our Momentum campaign on his channel that I am a player in. That I'm playing a dwarf in his game. I'm playing a female Delver dwarf, a young female fiery-headed dwarf by the name of Katja Kybrek. So tune in and check that out. And finally, but most certainly not the least amongst these, is V.
Hello. It's someone's bedtime. Can you tell? I absolutely adored playing this game and this particular setup. It's been absolutely amazing. And I'd really only be reiterating everything that was just said completely. It was just wonderful to be able to sit down and play with talented, creative people and just get a chance to once a week tap into those emotions and experiences and play it out as we did. It's been wonderful. I'm really looking forward to the start of the next season. It's going to be really very cool. I'm excited to see what it has to bring. And yeah, I mean, I'm gobsmacked by it and how wonderful it is, and just how predictably fun it is for us. It's like, it's Thursdays, yay, we get to see each other, we get to play together again, type of thing. So I have the YouTube channel, The Crafting Muse, and if you want to see how to make terrain, paint minis, make game accessories, come on over. You can also find me on Twitter. I'm very active over there. It is a little taste of Cantriel and me in terms of, you know, some sarcastic posts, but then also some other posts that are hopefully fun for people to read and follow. So would be happy to have you join me over there. And I'm also on Facebook and on Instagram. And yeah, it's been wonderful. It really has been. And Jake, you're just phenomenal as always.
Well, thank you all very much. I appreciate that. I love storytelling, so D&D is just a natural thing for me. I love running modules, but putting my own spin on them, and being able to add in and tie them to stories that these characters have. And you may notice things, you know, that I give a lot of narrative control to my players because I trust them. And I often will let them create parts of the story, sometimes with consequences. Don't think I didn't write down that Griveth took a seed from the Golthias tree. But no, that's because I trust these players. Something mechanically and game related that I forgot to mention, but I'm going to mention it for the benefit of the audience, is that you are all level 5 now. You did finally. Yes, Scotty, you are leveled up. Scotty's been asking before every session. You did finally level up. So season 2 will begin at level 5. In just a moment, I'm going to show the trailer for season 2, and we're going to go right into the end of the stream. So I do want to say a tremendous thank you to the audience who has been with us all along. So many people that are friends through different Facebook groups, each of us that knows different people that have come and gone throughout this campaign, people like Scraticus and Castle Mac that have raided and stuck around for a while, all the people that have subscribed to the channel. If you feel so compelled, you can use your Amazon Prime to get a free Twitch Prime subscription every month that you could use that helps to benefit the channel, or just follow so you know what's going on. I would be remiss if I did not mention the patron saint of the mini terrain domain and the patron saint of domain dice, Chameleon Fam, Joe Pereira, I can't see because it's a really dark font. 1974. You know who you are, Chameleon Fam. Keeping Talmud flush with domain dice. But seriously, the audience, you are a big part of this. And those of you that are watching the VODs on YouTube and feel like you're missing out on some of that interaction because we are live streaming exclusively on Twitch, just come join us on Twitch. Then you can be a part of the chat and be a part of that excitement. But I do want to say a thank you to Megan, Scotty, V, and Jeremy. It's because of people like you, regardless of the characters you play, the love and the passion that you bring to the game that just makes my job so much easier. I genuinely count all of you among some of my best friends, and I love that we get to play D&D together each week. And yep, Chameleon Fam still at the end of the game throwing another domain dice your way with that 3-month subscription. That stuff's going to carry over into the next campaign. I got to figure out, we're going to be doing some cool and exciting things with domain dice. Whoops, I took the whole interface away. You broke it, Chameleon. You broke the whole interface. But yeah, I genuinely love you, the audience. I love you, the players. I don't know what more to say. So in the meantime, thank you everybody for tuning in with us each week, and thank you to you guys for bringing it each week. I'm going to say it, though we're not actually going to end it because we're going to show this teaser, but we're going to end the stream the same way we do every week. And you can say it with me if you want. A metadare. Stay tuned for the trailer.